If the whole point was just to get you from A to B, then you would have like super cheap cars. I mean, Honda makes a really great cheap car, but you don't. You see a lot of different autos and more expensive ones. And a lot of that is because of the stories. Like you look at Tesla and Elon Musk, a lot of people like his story. It's more of they know his story, they know his mission, and they want to be a part of it.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
All right. How you doing? We're back in Insurance Playbook. So today I wanted to talk about what I think is the most underrated activity in insurance agency. And it goes back to when we really first started trying to sell. And we weren't really doing this. And then fast forward to when we were selling a lot. And when an insurance agent, one of our sales agents, started falling off of their sales, you see a lot of that sales roller coaster. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, like where you have that awesome agent and they sold a ton one month and then the next month they don't sell that much, right? They're probably not doing a small handful of things, but I think one of the most important elements is storytelling. And I know we've talked about it before. We've talked about story selling, right? It's like telling stories so people can understand what you're talking about, especially in insurance. Everything's so numbers, 80, 20, blah, blah, all these numbers, right? Nobody really understands a lot of it and it's complicated. So what I think is a critical point. So when we have an agent that starts falling off, it's one of the things that's easily let go. When you're doing a ton of quotes a day, it's easy to, let's take out a couple of the stories. Like if this person wants to buy, they're going to buy. And if they don't, they don't, right? I think that's what our sales agents start thinking after a while. And I think that the more time you spend with somebody and the more stories that you're able to share. Now that's stories on their end and stories on your end. It does something that we haven't talked much about before, but it's pretty deep. It creates a connection point between you and the other person. And it's critical to have this. I mean, you're going into these conversations cold and you have no rapport with them. You have nothing, right? So you're just talking about a commodity, insurance, which really, who cares? But it's when you create those connection points and you start sharing stories about yourself and they start sharing stories about them that you create a relationship. And people buy for relationships, not because of the best price. I mean, we see it all the time. I live in California, so you see all kinds of cars driving down the freeway. A lot of $100,000 plus cars. Why is that? If the whole point was just to get you from A to B, then you would have like super cheap cars. I mean, Honda makes a really great cheap car, but you don't. You see a lot of different autos and more expensive ones. And a lot of that is because of the stories. Like you look at Tesla and Elon Musk, everybody loves, well, no, that's not true. Not everybody loves his story, but a lot of people like his story. So they're bought into Tesla, regardless of the car. It's more of they know his story, they know his mission, and they want to be a part of it. And that creates a connection point that I think is super important. I think we can use that in our agencies because we started off talking about sales and how critical this is to sales. But what about our team? Sharing stories between each other is what keeps us together as a team. So I think this conversation of telling stories is something that needs to be at the forefront. It's super easy to not talk about your own story or to not ask questions about the other person's story, whether it's a team member or somebody's with sales. But I want to really encourage you guys, the best sales team, the best agents, those agent elite, you know what I'm talking about? Like they do this. The others, what do? They don't create stories. They don't talk about that stuff. They just try to get through their day, and they don't really care about anything. And they wonder why that they don't have great sales, or they wonder why their team is leaving their agency. And we don't want to be like that, right? We want to be the agent elite. And I think one of the key elements within this is being able to tell stories and connect with each other. The more connection, the more stories, the more human, the better you're going to feel about what you do. And I just couldn't think of a more important thing to focus on in your agency. So that is my tip of the day. The number one most underrated activity, or at least maybe underrated in the sense that we don't think about it that much, activity in your insurance agency. I hope that helped. Join our call if you want. Let's do this. Let's have an awesome week.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over $10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.